Hello, hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Sideline Speaks with myself, Britne Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports Media Network. What's going on, K Walker and Jay?
All is well, all is well.
Yeah, everything's good. Walk, I got the World Baseball Classic on behind me, man. So I'm trying to stay up with some baseball tonight as well.
Okay, I see it over there. I see it over there. Good stuff, good stuff. Proud of you, Jay. Proud of you.
This is a monumental moment. We have to timestamp this
Indeed.
moment because
Indeed.
Jay does not watch baseball.
Yeah.
No.
Are you going to watch the Atlanta Braves like we agreed to last week?
I'm going to root for them, Britt. I don't know how much I'm actually going to watch, but I'm going to be cheering for them.
You know anybody that plays for the Braves?
No, I don't. I couldn't name a player. If you said a name, I could probably say yes or no, but I can't name anybody off the top of my head. Nope.
Acuna Jr.
Yes.
Yeah.
I swear.
Is that wrong?
No, it's right. Yo, I'm saying he's like yes.
Oh, okay.
The way you said it. Okay. He's a beast, man. Okay. He's a beast.
Okay. Yeah, I do like him. I actually forgot about him. His name. I forgot how you say his name, and I thought you was going to say Kuna Matata. I was like, what?
Oh no, Acuna Jr. Man, he's a beast. He's a beast, man.
Yeah, I do like him though. All right, guys, you guys ready to talk some sports?
Let's do it.
I just gotta warn y'all. I got a couple wild takes tonight, so y'all might think I'm a little off on some of these topics tonight, but we'll see.
Spring's in the air. Spring's in the
air. Spring season, guys. All right, so you know what? We're gonna start off with some NFL real quick because since the news announced, we haven't gotten the opportunity to talk about it. Although this news was announced last week, I want to come to the Dallas Cowboys and talk about how the Cowboys plan to release running back Ezekiel Elliott, make him a post-June 1st cut because it saves them more money if you just designate him to after June 1st. Does he have anything else left in the tank? K-Walk, I'm going to come to you first.
I don't know, Britt. I don't. I think I'm going to say yes. You know why? Because I think this is going to be a motivational thing for him, man. I think him getting cut is going to be a humbling experience for him for sure. A lot of people saw him, tapering off, once he signed that contract, a couple of years ago. And I always made jokes about him that money's weighing him down. I said you guys said one thing, man, and it just looked like he got as soon as he got paid, it just seems like he was no longer that same guy, that same hungry guy that we always see him. He's eating, but apparently he was eating off the field, not on the field. So I think that he'll get another shot. Someone will bring him in. He'll be motivated. I don't know how long it'll last, though, Britt, to be honest with you, but I think he'll get another shot. I think he'll be, again, extra motivated. It's a humbling experience for him, and he wants to get back in the mix as well, especially with Saquon Barkley getting his franchise tag, and apparently it looks like they're going to extend him as well, and some of these other guys. Austin Eckler's out there as well. Josh Jacobs from the Raiders. So, yeah, I think he's going to be motivated. He'll get in the camp. I can't tell you where exactly right now, but he'll be in a camp come August or September, and he'll be back in the grind. And I don't know how long it's going to last, though, but he'll be back for sure.
What about you, Jay? What are your thoughts? This is the team you've represented. Represented this year. So what's your thoughts? Do you think he has anything left in the tank?
I was fully prepared to get on here and say Zeke is done, right? Like the life of a running back is short anyway.
Yeah.
Zeke has been beat up over the years.
Yeah.
As K-Walk alluded to, he's never really in shape the way that he needs to be. So for me, all those were reasons to say, look, this guy, he's done. I think it's over for Zeke. But to K-Walk's point, I do think he's going to get another opportunity. And there's nothing like getting released to just kind of remind you of how short an NFL career can be and how that money's not going to be coming in forever. So maybe this is going to be a motivational thing for Zeke. Maybe if he gets himself back in tip-top shape, he can be a somewhat productive player in the league. I don't think you're ever going to hear his name mentioned in the breath of like the best backs in football anymore. I think those days are over. But could he be a guy to carry the ball 8 to 10 times a game and kind of be serviceable? Yeah, I definitely think he can still do that. But to me, he's no longer a premier every down starter in the NFL. Those days are
Yeah. And this is the thing with Cowboys running backs. They decline faster than any other running back in the league because of how they run them so much earlier in their career. And I remember that's the first thing I know I said. I know a lot of people have said when you heard I think his first 3 years, he was averaging over 300 rushes per year. That's a lot. That's a lot of rushes. Where the next best player may get to 100, not even close to 200 rushes. So he was putting a lot of exertion. He was exerting his body a lot versus any other running back. He's only 27 years old, guys. That's the thing. He's not old, but because how they were using him so much, his usage rate was so high. His body is slowly and surely declining. But I agree with you, Jay. I think he'll find a team. I think he'll go somewhere where he's not the primary back. He's that second short yardage type of back. I think he wants to win. I think he'll take less money to go to a team to win. You never know. Chiefs may be calling him. They have Isaiah Pacheco. Maybe he could be behind him as the short yardage back, the goal line back. Although Isaiah Pacheco, he can do it all. I like him a lot. So it's going to be interesting. I kind of feel bad for him because I was a huge fan of his coming out of Ohio State. You guys know I'm an Ohio State fan. We'll have to see. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Hopefully they change things in Dallas. But I tell you this, here's my warning to all running backs coming out of college. You may not want to go to Dallas. It may seem like the great place to go, but you got about 4 years max before you start to decline. So it's going to be interesting. Any other thoughts on this?
The only thing I would say is when you said he was 27, I was kind of shocked. Like he feels like he's 34 to me,
Yeah.
So the fact that he's only 27 years old,
27.
that is really surprising because he feels a lot older than that. But on the bright side, he's only 27. So I think if he gets in shape, I think, like we kind of talked about, he could still do some things in the NFL. But man, he feels a whole lot older than 27 to me.
The thing about it is he can get in shape, but it's not a problem for him to get in shape. I think the problem is for him to stay in shape.
Yeah,
I think that's where the problem lies for Zeke. But like you said, Jay, he's 27. He feels 34, and I know he feels 34. No, we feel if we think he's 34, imagine how he feels. But yeah, I'm sure that he'll be back, and then he just has to maintain it. It's easy to get it; it's harder to maintain it. So if he can maintain that throughout a season, I think he'll find himself in a really good situation for sure.
Yeah,
and I think the thing is mentally he has to be willing to accept that secondary back role. Can he accept that role? Is he okay with that type of role? If he is, great. I can see him going for another, 3 or 4 years. If not, he may be looking to retire a lot sooner. So it just depends on what his mindset is going to his next destination. But he'll definitely be signed to another team for sure. All right, guys. So as we know, the NFL free agency is here. I know throughout it's been, what is this, the third week, I believe? Second full week. I know franchise tags earlier on in NFL free agency, so it feels like a lot longer than just the second week. Out of all the signings, though, I want to know, not your favorite signing, not your least favorite signing. I want to know your top 2 or 3. So you can just give me 2 is fine. Low risk, high reward signings during this NFL free agency. Jay, I'm coming to you first.
Yeah, this was tough because there's been some good signings, but they might be a little bit more on the risky side. So if you're talking low risk, I mean, I gotta go to Dallas. I gotta talk about those Cowboys. I think getting Brandon Cooks, just giving up a fifth round pick and a 6th round pick, I feel like that's pretty low risk for a receiver who is very productive in the NFL. But the other receivers that the Cowboys have, I think they'll all complement each other very well. So I think the Cowboys, even though this wasn't a free agent signing, it was a trade, So does that still count? I don't know, but I definitely think he's going to fit in nicely with the Cowboys, and those receivers will complement each other really well. So I like Brandon Cooks to the
No,
Cowboys.
but I'll give it to you.
All right, okay, and then I'm just gonna. I got three here, but I think I'm just gonna stick to two today. I'm gonna go Chauncey Gardner Johnson, because it's just a 1 year, $8 million deal, and so I mean you're talking about a very productive player on a 1 year for $8 million, very low risk, and I think you're gonna get a lot of productivity out of him. So I'm gonna say Cooks and Gardner Johnson. Those are my two low risk, but high reward players in free agency.
Okay, what?
Yeah, that's good stuff, dear. I like that one. I got two quarterbacks here. I'm going to go first. I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield going to the Bucks. I think that's low risk. You don't really expect too much from him. You got, I think Kyle, Trask is going to be their guy ultimately, but Baker Mayfield is going to be motivated. We know Baker Mayfield is a motivated guy. He's competitive. We know that he's a competitor, and he's going to go in there and he's going to push Kyle Trask to the limit. And I think Kyle Trask is going to ultimately respond to that, but it's not going to cost the Bucks too much from there because it's just a guy that you don't expect to be their starter. He's coming in to back up a guy and push Kyle Trask to the limit, as I stated. I'm going to go with Baker Mayfield there. The second guy, I'm going to go with Sam Darnold. I like what the 49ers did here. Sam Darnold going to the 49ers is because, he's expected to be that third guy, not the first guy, not the second guy, but the third guy. He understands his role there. And everyone, they told him, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan has expressed to him, this is what your role is going to be. They gave him incentives. Like, listen, hey, if you can go out there and beat these guys out, we'll give you this. You sign for $8 million. Your contract with incentives is worth up to $11 million. So I think that's a low risk, high reward there. Because if Sam Darnold, because Kyle Shanahan loved Sam Darnold when he came out of USC some time back, but he wasn't able to get his hands on him for obvious reasons. Didn't work out for him, of course. But it's a guy that he knows his role. He's going to understand his role. He's going to understand exactly what is going to be asked of him. He's still young enough, but he's still a vet at the same time, a young vet, if you will. So I like those two: Sam Darnold to the 49ers and Baker Mayfield to the Bucks.
Seems like everybody here is going with their own their own teams. I see. Okay, so I might as well change mine up a little bit. So let's see.
You don't have to.
All right, no, but I will. So my first one, I actually went with the speedy wide receiver, Paris Campbell, who signed with the New York Giants. I thought that was a good pickup. That was definitely low risk, high reward. He needs to stay healthy, but that provides them with speed. He could blow open a defense, make things easier for others surrounding him. They just got Darren Waller. They franchise tag Saquon Barkley. Potentially, there's rumblings about Odell Beckham Jr. could potentially be coming back. So we don't know where he's going to go for sure, guys. It's just rumblings. It's been rumblings that he may go back for a while. So Odell Beckham, Darren Waller, Paris Campbell. That's a nice receiving core right there. So it's going to be interesting.
OBJ is looking awesome too.
Oh yeah. Did anybody ever doubt him? I didn't doubt him, but. But the other one, I went with running back Rashard Penny to the Eagles. They lost Miles Sanders. Granted, they wasn't going to pay him for so much money. They signed him to a 1 year deal for up to, I believe, $2 million. Now, if this guy is healthy, his problem is he's not healthy. If his guy is healthy, he's a big, physical, shifty back. He averages 5 point yards per carry for his career and 6 yards per carry in the last 2 years. Oh my. And we have seen the damage that he does when he was with Seattle. You put him in this backfield with that offensive line, and he may be hitting holes that Sanders was not able to do, primarily due to size. Rashard Penny is much stronger, much more physical, much bigger. He's not going to be the primary back, guys. They're going to go out most likely and get another back. He will not be the primary back. Plus, they still have Kenneth Gainwell. But that is absolutely a low risk, high reward. And I'm actually excited to see what he's going to do as long as both these guys stay healthy. Health is the number one priority. You guys have to stay healthy in order to be productive.
Yeah, that's a good call. Those are good calls, Britt. K-Walk, what'd you think about Javon Hargrave going to the 49ers? I had that on my list too. Now, I mean, I know they paid for him, so I don't. Can we
Right.
call it low risk?
That is not a low risk, high reward. That is a high
Nah,
risk, high
that's
reward type
yeah,
See,
of
Jay.
player.
is it high risk though? Do you think it's high risk? Because
They
I
paid a
feel like he's
lot.
going to be a great player for him. You know what I mean? I know they paid for him, but I feel like that's kind of
That's not
what
a
the
low.
market is. So you're right; it might not be low
That's
risk,
not low
but I don't
risk.
know if I would call it high risk. I think they're going to get a really good player
Yeah.
at a market price. I guess I would say.
It's a high risk, high reward because if he gets hurt or if something happens and he's not able to be productive, that's your high risk. You paid a lot of money for him. Granted, that's what the market is for DTs.
Yeah,
He did very well last couple seasons for us,
yeah, he's going to be
but
good.
it's absolutely not a low risk.
He's going to be good. He's going to be
Yeah,
good.
K-Walk. Great, good stuff, K-Walk. I appreciate you guys clarifying that for K-Walk.
Well, I just got to say, I feel like Jay. I'm like, did you just throw it out there, or was there a reason?
Now I had him on my list, but like I said, I don't know that I would call it low risk, but I don't necessarily think he's high risky. I don't know. I think they got
Nah,
themselves a heck of a player.
Only because
yeah, for sure. And I think he meshes well with that defensive line. You know, with Bosa, with Armstead, with Kinlaw, and the young kid out of USC, Drake Jackson as well. And they do a lot. What the 49ers do well is they have great depth there too. So we're not going to ask too much, or they're not going to ask too much from him, and have him to be an every down guy. They'll spell him when he needs to be spelled. So I mean, I love it. When I saw that, I said, unreal, man. It's just unreal that we got that guy with that offense. I mean, with that defensive line.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. So to answer your question, Jay, I don't know. I agree with you, Britt. I definitely agree with you. It's not. I don't think it's high risk. I don't think it's definitely a high reward if he can stay healthy, like you said, Britt, but I don't think it's a high risk by any stretch.
Yeah, he's not a type of person that he doesn't get hurt. I don't think too often. I don't remember the last time he was hurt.
Yeah.
Again, last year it's a big rotation with the Eagles. When he was with the Eagles,
Right.
they had a lot of rotation, so he
Exactly.
didn't have to play as often as you would think. But the Eagles were not going to play him. It's time for Jordan Davis and Milton Williams, who they're really excited about. They compare him to Javon Hargrave, so they're excited about him with a lot more speed to him. So it was time for Javon Hargrave to move on. And
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
surprised they didn't tag him and then trade him. That was surprising to me.
they're not going to tag him because if they can't find a trade partner, then Howie Roseman is going to be tight because now they're stuck to your cap.
Somebody would have said, yeah, but you could have given him a non-exclusive. Somebody would have signed him. I mean, obviously, before you look at the 49ers game. Yeah,
Too much respect. The one thing I like about the Eagles organization is too much respect. They're not going to just hold on to a player. They're going to be like, you know what, we respect you enough. Go out and find what you're going to go out and find. We understand you're going to get the call. You're going to get the money that you're going to.
You got to get something back for that, though. You got to get something back for that, for sure.
Yeah, we'll get a third round or second round, third round pick.
Yeah, compensation pick. Yeah, but you could have got two first rounders, though.
Well, I don't know if anybody's paying 2 first rounders for a DT. That's 30.
You never know, Britt. You never know. All right.
So the 49ers is going to give.
You say no. I say
yes.
Give
the Eagles 2 first.
I'm not saying the 49ers would have, but I'm saying somebody would have.
But see, I don't think so. He was just too much older, so that's the only thing. If he was younger, I could see it. But he was like 30, 31. We gladly will. All right, going to the next one. All right, so now we're going to talk about. I want to do something a little different here. It's the normal take your pick, like we always do, right?
Okay.
But it's the offense versus defense edition. And I'm going to do NFL and NBA combo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an offensive player versus a defensive player. And you tell me who will win that matchup or who you want for your team. You know what? We're going to say who will win that matchup. How about that?
Okay.
All right. Okay. So let's see. We're going to go with one of the most popular ones, right? We're going to do wide receiver Jerry Rice starting off. versus
Jerry Rice.
cornerback Deion Sanders.
Jerry Rice. I don't care who you put in next.
Oh man.
Okay, well, K Walk just says Jerry Rice, so I'm just gonna skip him, I guess. Jerry,
I don't care who you
Jay,
name.
Jay, who you got? Jerry Rice or Deion Sanders?
Man, look, we've seen the matchup, so there's some video evidence of these guys going head to head, and they both got their fair share of wins. Deion got his fair share of interceptions and coverage and knockdowns, and Rice caught his fair share of balls and touchdowns. So I don't really know that there's a clear winner here, but I'm going with Prime. I'm going defense here. Give me Prime. I got Deion. Jerry Rice is the best to do it at that position, but Deion's the best corner to ever play. I'm taking Prime. I got Deion.
K-Walk, you want to say your reason behind Jerry Rice?
Because it's Jerry Rice. Because it's Jerry Lee Rice. In my opinion, he's the argument. He's the greatest football player to ever play the game. I just think he's just so smooth. And I know Deion, and nothing to take away from Prime. I'll be a fool to sound like I don't want to disrespect Prime in any way, but I just think that certain routes that Jerry Rice ran, I should say, no one could cover. No one could cover the crossing routes, the bang eights, which means that you're faking like you're going to the corner, you go into the post. I don't think he could deal with that. The whip routes when you're faking the slant coming to the outs. I just don't think on a consistent basis Deion Sanders could stay with Jerry Rice.
I'm gonna go. They're both the best to ever do it at both their positions, right? This one's hard. This one's really hard, and I might be out of my mind, but I'm sorry, I got to go with Deion Sanders. It's something with prime time. He has everything that you want in a lockdown corner. He could play now. He could play back then. He could play in any era, in my opinion. His footwork is great. He has the speed to him, the size to him, the confidence to him, the mindset. And if anybody thinks Jerry Rice is scared to go up against anybody, he will definitely welcome. I'm not Jerry Rice. I'm going to say Deion Sanders is scared to go up against anybody. He will say, you know what? He will say this 9 times out of 10. Matter of fact, he's prime time. So 10 times out of 10, Deion Sanders is like, I'm going to win this matchup for sure. So
he's going to say it.
I'm going to go with Deion. All right, well, I'll give it 7 times out of 10. How about that?
You bugging. You bugging. I'll put my house on that.
I give it 7 times out of 10.
You crazy.
And Deion right now is 8 toes down. He 8 toes down. So I'm just kidding. All right, guys, let's go to the next one before we make K-Walk really mad about not going with
don't do that. Don't do that.
All right, the next one. We're gonna Let's stick with the NFL still. I got a list here, so I'm picking and choosing, guys. Let's go to wide receiver Calvin Megatron Johnson versus cornerback Darrelle Revis Island. K-Walk, who do you have?
Megatron. I'm taking Megatron. I'm taking receivers over cornerbacks every single time, depending on what receiver it is. In this case, I'm taking Megatron. I would even take Megatron over Deion. That's how confident I am with. Yeah, I would take Megatron. He has the speed. He has the size. Oh my God, he's just he's kind of like a Jerry Rice 2.0. I just don't think you can match up with him from a physical standpoint. Darrelle Revis, outstanding one-on-one cornerback. Nothing taken away from him. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not disrespecting the corners. I'm just a receiver at heart. I'm going to stay there. So I'm going to take Megatron just because of the size alone. Because if you look at Darrelle Revis and then you look at Megatron and size, and you just throw that ball up every time, okay, you can do that all you want to, Britt. But if you take that size up, if you take that, you throw that ball up on 1-on-1 50-50 ball, it's not going to be a 50-50 ball. It's going to be a 55-45 ball every time. Megatron.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Somebody kept calling me, so sorry about that.
It was reality. It was called reality. He was calling, letting you know.
You're talking about with Jerry Rice and Deion Sanders? No, I honestly, let's go back to the Jerry Rice Deion Sanders thing. I think that's a much more even matchup than what most people think. I would not say 7 out of 10. I only said that because K-Walk is here, so That's why. And I knew you'd get a little tight. I'll probably say like
So
I get
you live for me to
50-50.
get tight, Brett? Is that what your motivation is?
Absolutely.
You try to get me tight, Brett. Why, Brett? Why, Brett?
Because it's fun.
Okay, all right.
Y'all do the same thing to me, trying to bring up C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Javon Hargrave, trying to get a reaction out of me. No reaction.
Oh no, Jay brought that up. I was just responding to Jay's.
I just thought they were good signings.
But K-Walk, you know Jay got this little thing behind him, like, ooh, let's see if I get something out of her. Let's bring it. No, not yet. Now, if you say Jalen Hurts got traded, now I'm mad as heck. That's all I'm gonna say. But Jay, let's get back to Calvin Johnson and Darrell
Marcus Mariota.
Look, there's a reason they call that man Revis Island. I mean, great one-on-one, great man-to-man coverage. But I got to go with K-Walk on this one. The size, the speed, the strength of Megatron. Yeah, can Revis cover him some of the time? Sure. But I think if you're talking about who would win out, I think if they go, 10 routes or whatever, go at it 10 times, you got to believe Megatron's coming out of that thing with the edge. Even if they're just throwing him fades to the corner of the end zone. I don't know how Revis would even deal with something like that. So Revis was great, but you got to go Megatron in this matchup.
Yeah, I think I'm going to make this unanimous here. First of all, Megatron's just too big for anybody. Yeah. He's just too big. Then he had the speed, the hands.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, he had to do the Barry Sanders thing because, once again, the Lions didn't want to treat him right. So he was like, I'm done. I'm going to retire. But, man, if he would have stayed a little bit longer, I think he retired, late 20s, like 29, 30. Yeah, he retired early.
Yeah.
If he would have stayed in the league a lot longer, because he took care of his body. We talk about other players that don't. He took care of his body. Man, if he would have lasted another 4 or 5 years, the numbers he could have put up, what we would be saying about him to this day. We already talked like he's one of the greatest receivers. Man, could you imagine? So yeah, I love Darrell Revis. I don't think he could stop Megatron. He could stop a lot. He would lock down every other receiver during that time, not Megatron.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna shout out Thanos something. I'm sorry, sir. He's on Twitch. I can't pronounce your name. Heisenberg. Thanos Heisenberg. I think I said it right. He said Leon Sandcastle is greater than Deion Sanders.
One of the best combine commercials there was, Leon Sandcastle.
Ever. All right, guys, let's move on. Before I go back to football, let's switch over to some NBA. Let's see. Let's go with Steph Curry, the greatest shooter we have ever seen in the history of the NBA, versus Gary the Glove Payton. And I just want to let you know, we are playing in Gary Payton's era, not today's era. See if that changes your mind just a little bit. Maybe, maybe not. Jay, I'm going to come to you first on this one.
Look, I just think all those people that think Steph couldn't have played in the 90s, like, I don't believe that. Like, I just think if, like, Isaiah Thomas could play, like, why couldn't Steph play? Like, I know Isaiah was probably tough, but I think guys adjust to the time frame that they're in. The Glove was a great defender, but every time now I think of the Glove, the only thing I can think about is MJ looking at that iPad
They'd have
and
a
laughing.
problem.
That's the first thing that I
had no problem with the Glove.
with. So I think look, the Glove's a great defender, but Steph's going to get his points. I mean, Steph's going to get his points. I'm taking Steph in this matchup.
Oh man.
No
I don't know, guys. I don't know, guys. Look, I love Steph Curry, and what he's doing today is freaking amazing. But I just think if you put him in that era with the Glove, he's not getting off on those screens like he is now to get those shots. So to get those shots like that, I know he does some quick shots. The Glove will be up in his butt. I'll spell ASS. I don't know if we have kids watching the show. I don't want to curse, guys. But he will be all up in them. And, like, you're not going to get this shot off. You're not going to get this shot off. The only thing you could try to do is drive to the basket. But guess what? My feet is just as good as yours. And it's not happening. He's called the Glove for a reason. I think if we're talking any other defender, maybe one or two others from that time, and I'll mention one of them later. But any other defender, yeah, I can see Steph getting his shots off and stuff like that. But versus Gary, absolutely not. And then Gary had the mindset, he's telling you in your face, go ahead and shoot it. It's not going to happen. Watch what happens. Plus, he was a trash talker. I think he'd be up in his head way too much. But K-Walk, who you got?
I don't know if it's the spring in the air or whatever, but something's going on that I'm agreeing with Britne twice in one segment or twice in a half an hour. But I agree, Britt, for everything that you said. I agree. I believe that wholeheartedly. You could put the glove would be able to put his hands. So you said in Glove's area, that's when he was allowed to put his hands on these guys,
hand
man.
checking.
And you allowed to get up in these guys. And I don't think Steph Curry could have handled the glove, man. I know MJ didn't have a problem. He had no problem with the glove. I think Steph would have had a problem with the glove. So I'm going to go Gary Payton. I'm going to go with the glove. And I think like Britt kind of alluded to it. Well, she did allude to it. Is that the trash talking aspect of it is going to play a lot of it into it. So when you're talking to somebody and you get into their mental and physical, woo, that's a tough bump to get over, man, for sure. So I'm gonna go with the glove.
Man, I think y'all are underestimating how good Steph is off the dribble. He's not just a catch and shoot player. He is phenomenal off the dribble. His ability to handle the basketball. Like, I just don't know that the glove is really staying
but he's getting away with
Steph
that
like that.
Yeah.
But it's a different era, Jay.
And I'm not sure the trash talk bothers Steph. Like, Steph, people think Steph is soft. Like, Steph is a trash talker as well. He just does it differently. Like, he'll shoot a jumper and turn around and start running back the other way. Like, that's just as intimidating as some of the trash talk. So I don't know, man. I just think in the NBA, good offense beats good defense all the time. Like, there've been very few players in the NBA that you could put on somebody and say they're not scoring. Like, it doesn't really happen. If you're a great offensive player, you're getting your points. I don't know any great offensive players that have been shut down because someone put a good defender on them.
So here's my thing to you. I said in that era, hand checking, putting your foot, he go up for a shot, you can slide your foot underneath. Gary Payton is going to figure out some ways to make you think twice about taking that jump shot. The type of fouls they used to do or the physicality that they had, like, you can't be that physical now. It's so easy for Steph Curry to get his shots off. It's too easy for Steph Curry to get his shots off. Going around those screens, you can't touch him. He's not getting away with all of that he does now. And that goes for all players that play today.
But are you telling me you don't think if Gary Payton if Steph has the ball in his hands at the top of at the 3-point line, he can't get a shot off against Gary Payton? Like, is
not
that
if he's allowed to touch him, Jay? Not if he's allowed to touch him. Not if he's allowed to put his hands on him like he did back in the day, Jay.
I don't know, man.
Like, Jay, you know how physical that league was back then.
I know.
Now, I go with Steph Curry all day.
I've seen tons of guards not as good as Steph Curry get their shots off against Gary Payton. Like, are we inflating how good of a defender Gary Payton was? Like,
absolutely not. Because I think Steph Curry will be a good player back. Like, in that era, I don't think he's a superstar in that era. That's what I'm saying.
Look at
his shots off, but he's not a superstar.
Look at Joe Dumars and MJ matchup.
Yeah,
MJ can tell you he had problems with
Joey Dumars defended MJ better than anyone else.
Exactly. And
but MJ would still get 26, 27.
That's MJ though. But that's MJ though. That's MJ.
That's what I'm just saying.
Are you comparing MJ to Steph?
No, but I'm saying are we saying Gary Payton's going to hold Steph to like 8 points or something? Steph's getting his 25.
He's not getting 25. He's not getting 25.
Nah,
I give him.
We should go look up people that Gary Payton guarded. Like, if some of these other guards were getting 17, 18 on Payton, I mean, he hits 3 threes. He's at 9 14, already.
I said 14, 15 , right? Didn't I say he played 14,
he's
15?
Getting 25.
You said 17, 18.
I think
he's not getting 25. How's he going to get 25?
He's the greatest shooter that has ever lived. How's he
in this era? In a less physical era. We could come off screens
I
wide
think
open.
sometimes people
Nobody can hand check you. Nobody can touch you.
I don't think hand checking. I mean, yes, you can hand check people. We grew up hand checking people, but
It's a huge
all of a
difference
sudden
when
the
you're
hand
dribbling.
check is not the end all be all. I mean, we've seen guys
not
score
saying that.
against hand checkers.
We're not saying that. What I'm saying is you take a Steph Curry used to this era and put him in a Gary Payton's era. He's not dropping 25 to 30 points. I give him in the teens. He's going to be a great star. He's not your Michael Jordans or whatever the Hakeem Olajuwon's type star that was back then. Sorry. All right, let's move on. We got to move on. We've been doing this too much.
If you didn't see my Facebook post, I told you to get your popcorn ready.
we got to go to the next one. All right. So, Jay, this is your guy. I'm going with forward Kevin Durant for the offense versus Scottie Pippen for the defense. Forward and forward. Now, you already said Steph Curry could drop 25 to 30 on Gary Payton. So I don't know. Wonder what your mind says. Is it similar? But K-Walk, I'm gonna come to you first. I'm not coming to you.
Okay. I'm gonna make this one quick because I gotta hear Jay's on this one. But I'm going with Pitt, man. And it's the same era, right? Where Pitt played in. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that safe to say?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know if we were going back and forth. But Jay, I got the same argument for that we had with the glove and Curry. I think Pip is probably a better defender than Peyton was, to be honest with you. So, and he's got the length too, as well. I mean, in Pip, he's got the long arms. He's 6'7", 6'9", 6'8", 6'9". I mean, 6'7", 6'8". I know Kevin Durant is 6'10", 6'11". Maybe sometimes on a good day he's 7 foot. He's got that long jumper. He's smooth, but I just think what we saw, what was it last season, what Jason Tatum did to Kevin Durant, they put bodies on him. They put a body on him. They made it physical. Pip will do that, and he's long armed too. So yeah, give me Pip all day, every day, and twice on Sundays.
Jay,
Jay's not happy right now.
I'm going the other way. I'm taking KD because I'm going to stay consistent. I think in the NBA, great offense beats great defense. I think one-on-one, I don't believe that Scottie Pippen can shut down Kevin Durant. Is he going to win some battles? Yes. But KD's going to win his fair share as well. So, no, I don't think Scottie Pippen can shut down Kevin Durant, and I'm taking KD. I got KD all day long. Great off.
Over Pip?
KD is one of the greatest shot makers this league has ever seen. I don't believe that Scottie Pippen can stop him. I don't. I don't believe it.
And I believe in the NBA, and they're not allowed to play defense now. That great defense absolutely trumps great offense. And I've always been like that. You guys know I've always been like that. But this one is a lot closer than I thought it would be. I don't want to agree with K-Walk a third time. No.
No, right. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's going to throw the atmosphere off. It's going to throw the planets off.
I think Kevin Durant's length is a problem, and this guy is long. I know Kobe Bryant said the only player he could not figure out once he was able to develop, I think his left or his mid-range, it was one of them. I think it was his left, really develop his left hand. Kobe was like, this was another player outside of Tracy McGrady he could not figure out. Now, the thing that gets me with KD is he's small. And Scottie Pippen is a lot more physical. And like K-Walk alluded to, that caused issues. And the championship, not the championship, the Eastern Conference Championship, was that last year? No, I'm sorry, the first round last year, because he was with the Nets. The first round last year, they were really physical with him. Jason Tatum was pretty physical with him, and he struggled a lot. So if you think he struggled against Jason Tatum today, he's going to struggle like crazy against Scottie Pippen. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen this year. We'll have to see what transpires this year. They might not even see each other because it won't be until the championship. So another reason I'm mad, he kind of left the Nets. I want to see that rematch again. I got to go with Scottie Pippen. I think Scottie Pippen is a much better player than what people think he is. To me, if Michael Jordan wasn't on that team, he's the superstar for that team. It's just that, unfortunately, he had Mike. Like, nobody's better than Mike. but his defense, they won a lot of those games because of Scottie Pippen's defense, and everybody knows it out there. This is not the slight Kevin Durant. This is not to slight him at all. He is a talent of all talents, but Scottie Pippen will be up in that ASS. Not like that.
I think, though,
like
one
that.
of the things I think we're overlooking here is the offense in the NBA, the moves that guys, the ability to dribble, the step back, the crossover. Gilbert Arenas talks about this, and I don't even agree with Gilbert Arenas a lot, but I do agree with his point this time, because he was talking about when Grant Hill came into the league, and he was kind of the beginning of the new era right to left crossover and stuff like that. And he was giving those defenders in the NBA at that time fits. They couldn't deal with it. I think we're underestimating how good the guys are now offensively. They're not just guarding some, I'm going to back you down into a post and try. Like, the game is so different now, and there's so many more moves that you have to guard. I think we're underestimating how good the guys are offensively now. And I'm not sure these great defenders in the 90s that were defending two moves are going to be as good playing against guys that have an arsenal of moves that they could go to.
Yeah, but Jay, the guys today now, they get away with so much traveling. The step back.
Do.
I don't care what you tell me. I don't care. You can break it down to any way you want to.
Yeah, that's
travel. Is a travel. It's a travel. So yeah, you're right. If you can get away with that, then yeah, no one can be able to guard that. I mean, if you get away with that,
right?
But if you go back,
but in that era, they're calling it. They're calling that a travel.
Every time. You're calling it every time.
It's a different
so
era.
Can't get away with
that. This is an offensive era. What is the main goal of the NFL and the NBA now? They want more offensive play. They want everything to be offense. That's why you have more high-scoring games in the NFL and in the NBA. In the 90s, it was a little bit more even. They're not calling a lot of these calls. Them tic-tac things, these defense play, the defensive side can play. They letting these guys play and be physical with you.
But I feel like if you go back and watch a 90s basketball game, you're not going to be impressed with the offensive moves. Like, other than Jordan, like, who else was really making you say, wow, that was a really nice move? No one. Like, go back and watch 90s basketball. I think you'll be surprised.
AI came in with the crossover that eventually got banned from the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, AI's crossover was nice,
big-time move.
But I still think we're giving these defenders too much credit. Like, I just don't know that they could really guard the type of range and offensive skill set that we see now. Like, the range that these guys shoot with now, the guys in the 90s had no clue of that.
Jay, I agree with you there. I agree with you now. Now, if you made the argument, like, could they guard them in this era, then my argument may be differently. And we're talking about back in the 80s and 90s. No, they can't get away with the stuff that they're getting away with.
But Steph can still shoot it from 5 feet behind the line if he wanted to.
Yeah, but if he has to, if it takes him 3 steps without dribbling to get that ball off, then yeah, I mean, any era you're good at that. But you're not going to get away with this. It's a totally different type of game. But that's why Brit, I don't know if that's why, but Brit, posed the question. It's in the 80s and the 90s. I was watching the rematch of the Utah Jazz and the Bulls in Game 6 of the 1988 finals. The final score was 87-86.
Yeah,
we see that score now sometimes at halftime or halfway through the third quarter.
Right
now today. So you're absolutely right. I get both sides of it, but if we're going back into the 80s and 90s, I have to give it to the defenders.
Now, if I would have said in today's world, I'm going with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, all of them. Because there's no defense. Likewise. No team plays defense. I just said the other day you had a score of 147 to 144. What kind of nonsense is that?
That's used to be all-star games scores back in the day.
That's ridiculous.
All-star games.
So, but all right, let's move on because we spent a lot of time on this segment, but it's fun. It's fun. I got a couple more. You know what? Let's do this one. We're gonna do one from today's era. Okay. Offensive, defensive guy. I got LeBron James versus Kawhi Leonard, since the great offense beats the great defense. Jay, I'm coming to you first. Who you got?
Who's playing defense?
I'm sorry. Kawhi's playing defense. LeBron, the first person is always offense. Second
okay.
So LeBron is offense. Kawhi is defense, and don't tell me LeBron don't have great offense.
I'm taking LeBron. I'm gonna take LeBron. Look, I know Kawhi's a great defender. I don't believe he could shut LeBron down. I really don't. I think over a 4-quarter game in today's NBA, LeBron's gonna get his 30, even if Kawhi's guarding him. So might he slow him down a little bit here and there, but he's not stopping LeBron from doing what he wants to do. I'm taking LeBron.
Okay, what?
Yeah, I have to agree with Jay on this one. This is an easy one, to be honest with you. Yeah, kick Kawhi, man. He's MIA half of the time. You just don't know what you're going to get from him.
Healthy Kawhi.
I know. I get it. Yeah. What is that though? What is that does that really mean? But yeah, I even a healthy Kawhi, young Kawhi against a young LeBron. I'm going to take LeBron. I think LeBron can body him down a little bit more, can shoot over top of him as well, and can get to the bucket as well. LeBron can beat him in a variety of ways. So I'm going to go LeBron for sure.
I agree with you guys on this one. I agree with you guys. I think LeBron is too strong. Although they have had games in matchups, big games where Kawhi has basically shut him down in a couple of those games. I think one, if I can recall, was a championship game where the Spurs won. I think the Spurs was that when he was with, I don't know if that was the Heat or Cleveland, one of them. But he won when Kawhi was a Spurs, and Kawhi was just a young guy, and he made LeBron was struggling like we've never seen LeBron struggle before. So do I think LeBron will struggle against Kawhi? Yes. Do I still think LeBron will get up to like 25 points? Yes. So there you go. I think his efficiency will be horrible. I think Kawhi's team could potentially win depending on who's on LeBron's team. But I think LeBron will still get his points. All right. You feel a little bit better, Jay?
Not really. Y'all are tripping on Steph.
All right. Couple more. I got to go back to football, and we're spending so much time on this. Let's do running back Jim Brown offense. Well, NFL is easy. Running back Jim Brown versus linebacker Lawrence Taylor.
Now that's tough. That's a good one.
So I say I got some good ones later.
That's good.
Let's see who wants to go first.
Let K-Walk take this one.
I don't want to go at all. I know first. Wow. Okay. Wow. Jim Brown was a monster, beast. Put the head down. He's going to run through you. But Lawrence Taylor was just a crazy dude, man. All right. Right now today, if they're both listening right now, I think I can beat Jim Brown in a fight. He's a little older. So with that being said, I'm going to take Lawrence Taylor, man. I'm going to take Lawrence Taylor in this one, man. I really think, I'm going to take him. I think he was crazy. He was fast, physical, and he can run him down. If they went one, oh. Wow, this is a good one, Britt. Really is a good one. I wouldn't be mad if you go with Jim Brown, guys, but I'm going to take Lawrence Taylor, man. I just think Lawrence Taylor is the greatest defensive player to ever play the game. That remains to be seen as far as, I don't feel the same way about Jim Brown as being that offensive guy. So I'm going to take Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, this one was hard. I was sitting here thinking about this. I'm like, what am I thinking right now? But you know what? Just for the heck of it, I'm going with Jim Brown. Strong, powerful. Not mad at you. He was the main guy for the Bears back in the day, and they knew the ball was going to him. They still couldn't get him down. Can Lawrence Taylor do it? I know Lawrence Taylor is strong and crazy. But could he stop Jim Brown? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. We'll never know. This is why we do this. So
it depends what type of night Lawrence Taylor had the previous night, if you know what I mean. What type of partying he was doing.
He was doing his.
We'll keep it at that. We'll just keep it at that. I'm not.
No disrespect. But no, I'm gonna go with running back Jim Brown. It's not I know I'm making it sound easy. It's not that easy, guys. It's not. And I'm sitting here second guessing myself, but I'm gonna go with Jim Brown.
Me too.
I just think, look, everybody knew the ball was going to Jim Brown. They still couldn't stop him. Still couldn't do anything about it. But Jay, who you got?
The more I think about it, actually, the easier it gets for me. I'm taking LT. This is an easy pick for me. Now, spending a few minutes just thinking about it. Look, I like Jim Brown. He's never been one of my favorite running backs. I think he was before his time, meaning that he benefited from the era that he played in. Like when you look at Jim Brown, he was a man amongst boys with the competition that he played against. Lawrence Taylor played in the league at a time where the competition was much more balanced. If you drop Jim Brown into a 90s NFL game, I don't think he's a freak of nature in the 90s. He's a guy that's like a lot of the other guys on the field. Lawrence Taylor changed the game. Like he changed how people play defense and how people play offense. So I'm taking LT here. No disrespect to Jim Brown. I mean, he can't help the people that he played against. I'm just not so sure he would have been that dominant had he played in a different era. I think you could drop Lawrence Taylor in any era of football, and he would be an absolute monster.
So Jim Brown didn't change that position, change the game of the position.
I don't know that I would say Jim Brown changed the running back position. I don't think he did. I don't think he did. Not in my opinion.
Well, I know after him, running backs teams wanted different types of running backs after him. All right, next one.
I like Gale Sayers more than Jim Brown, to be honest.
I concur.
Yeah, he was actually one of my favorites. All right, so next one, we're gonna go another running back linebacker combo. Barry Sanders versus Ray Lewis. So you got it.
That's easy to do. I'll go first. That's easy. Give me Barry all day, every day. I don't think one-on-one open field, I don't think Ray Lewis would even get a hand on Barry. So I'm taking Barry. I have never really seen anyone get a good hit on Barry because he's just that elusive. So I got Barry all day, every day on that one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Barry Sanders. He's just too shifty, too elusive. Plus, he was strong. People underestimate his strength. He used to run guys over too, and he'll just figure eight the mess out of Ray Lewis like he did the Dallas Cowboys that one game. But K-Walk, I know Ray Lewis punch you and get chest one day. Tackle them guys. Tackle, not physically punch. But hit him so hard through his chest. Who you got?
All right, I'm flashback. This is an easy one actually. I love you, Ray, man, and still the charges are still pending right now. There's no statute of limitations on that hit either. But I'm going to go with Barry Sanders. Like everything that you guys mentioned, especially Jay alluded to it as well, is that in the open field, it took 6-7 guys sometimes to bring Barry Sanders down because he was so elusive. So one-on-one with anyone, I'm taking Barry Sanders for sure.
All right, last one, guys, and then we move on. And I did this in honor of K-Walk here. Okay, we got head coach Kyle Shanahan, offensive minded head coach, versus head coach, now head coach, defensive-minded, great defensive coordinator, DeMeco Ryans.
Ooh.
Did this in honor of you, K-Walk.
Ooh.
Who you got? I have K-Walk go last. Jay.
Man, that's a good one. I like DeMeco. I think he's done a great job, early in his career. He's done a phenomenal job. He's coached some tremendous players as well, though. But has done an outstanding job. But I'm going to take Shanahan here. Just the experience. I think he's the best play caller in football, or at least no one calls plays better than he does. So as much as I like DeMeco Ryans, I'm going to give the edge to Shanahan here.
Okay, I don't know if I put him over Andy Reid just yet, but I understand what you're saying. I'm gonna go the opposite direction. I'm gonna go with DeMeco. I know he's young. He doesn't have as much experience, but I think he's ready. What he did with that 49ers defense was amazing. Some of those guys, especially in the secondary, I didn't have a clue who their names was. I know now. I know who they are now, but he just puts them in the right position to really excel. What he did with Bosa and along that defensive front was amazing. Then they went out and got Ken Law and Fred Warner. I didn't know who Fred Warner was prior to this. Now look at him. He's the top linebacker in the game right now. But what D'Amico Ryans did with that 49ers defense is, whew, and I'm excited to see what he does with the Texans. I really am. They got some good young pieces, and I think that defense is going to be turned around pretty fast. But K-Walk, these are your two guys. One is a former 49er now. Who you got?
But to your point, Britt, that you mentioned D'Amico Ryans and those guys, Fred Warner and Javon Kinlaw. They were actually Robert Sala's guys because to keep in mind, Robert Sala just was 2 years removed from the 49ers, so they ran the same defense nonetheless. But wow, you know what? I watch a lot of training camp stuff on the 49ers when it's happening. The defense always is ahead of the offense, Jay. You know that. But in a game situation, man, because they both know each other's style. They know what their tendencies are. They know what their identities are. They know what their philosophy is. When you see a certain all defensive lineup, but like Jay said, this is the deciding factor for me. I just think Kyle Shanahan, he's his genius in calling plays and just manipulate the defense is the key for me. So I'm going to take it's a slight edge, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to take Kyle Shanahan over D'Amico. Love you, brother. Go win that South, man, for sure. But I'm going to take Kyle Shanahan.
I don't know, because D'Amico's defense won some games when Kyle Shanahan's offense couldn't do it.
Oh, yeah, as I said, it's a slight.
I'm going with D'Amico. I got your back, brother. I got your back. All right, let's move on, guys. All right. We got to get into some March Madness before we take our break, and then Jake takes over. I want to talk about women's basketball. We don't talk about it enough. So what I want to know, what are your top 3 favorite current female college basketball players? Your top 3 favorite. You can have 10 of them. I know I have about 20 of them. Just give me 3 of them. But K-Walk, I'm coming to you first on this one.
All right, let me go to hear my list here, man, because you guys, like I told you guys in the text, you guys had me doing some homework this past last 24 hours, man, when y'all released the topics. But number 3, I'm going to go with hometowner to you, Britt, and that's Maddie Seacrest. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah.
From Villanova.
Yeah.
Young lady there, man, averaging 29 points a game. Just what she's able to do. I mean, like you said, Britt, there's so many of them, but I just went with the ones that I've just watched recently. So I may be skipping some. But Maddie Seagrass there. Of course, you got to go with Aaliyah Boston from South Carolina. Outstanding big girl there, a big lady there. I don't want to call it big, like she's fat or anything like that, but you know what I mean. It's basketball term. So don't. All right, no. So some people don't. We live in a world right now. You got to be mindful of what you say and how you say it.
Sports people got you. Sports people got you.
Cool. All right. So Aaliyah Boston, I'm going from South Carolina, and number 1, I'm going with my girl, man. She's the Steph Curry of basketball right now, and that's my girl from Iowa, Caitlin Clark, man. I mean, she's just outstanding. She pulls up from the logo, not the 3-point line, not 2 feet. She pulls up from the logo, but sometimes she pulls up as soon as she gets off the bus and knocks them down. So those are who I'm going with. I'm going with Maddie Seacrest from Villanova, Aaliyah Boston from South Carolina, and Caitlin Clark from Iowa.
Yeah, those are definitely good. I gotta agree with you with Caitlin Clark. Ooh, she's a monster. But for my list, you know what? I went with Caitlin Clark. She's one of them since we already just spoke about her. Almost averaging a triple-double. I know a lot of people say she's the female version of Steph Curry. I think she's a little bit more. I think she's a Steph Curry combined with, y'all gonna call me crazy, a LeBron James. I mean, look, she's averaging almost a triple-double. Her basketball IQ is out of this world. Now defense is all right. Defense is okay. But offensively,
yeah,
man, she makes the right basketball decision every time she comes down the court. And then she shoots just like a Steph Curry anywhere. So Caitlin Clark is absolutely one of them. I decided to go with a freshman. I watched this freshman the other day. I always talk about Aaliyah Boston. I always talk about a lot of other players. But I said, you know what? Let me pick a freshman. And I spoke about her on the show before, and that's Flau'jae Johnson from LSU, this guard. She got handles. She could play defense, and she has a great shooting form. She is the future, in my opinion, of LSU, as long as she continues to stay there for her basketball career, if she chooses so. She is a good young player, guys, and she plays with such tenacity. She wants to win. She plays hard and she wants to win. I think she's averaging like 11 points, 5 rebounds as a freshman. Um, Big stuff coming from her. And then my last one, I had to go with my other favorite big, big girl. See, um, and that's LSU Angels Reese. Man, is she's a monster. I think she had what at least 5 or 6 2020 games this year, 20 points, 20 rebounds. The last game was she had 25 and 24, and then she is averaging over 23 points, 15 rebounds, almost 2 blocks and 2 steals a game. That's crazy. That is crazy. As a junior, so she has one more year, and then I could see her being like #1 overall next year, #2, top 3 for sure. But Jay, who are your top 3?
Yeah, I would have said Caitlin Clark, but since you guys touched on her, I'll go in a different direction. I like Rakia Jackson out of Tennessee. She's phenomenal, guys. She transferred from, I think, Ole Miss. This is her first year at Tennessee. She's coming back next year instead of going to the WNBA. She's a great player. I think Tennessee might have a chance to get into the Final Four if Rakia is really on her game. I want to shout out Zaya Cook. I know a lot of people talk about Aaliyah Boston, and rightfully so, but Zaya Cook, man, I mean, she does it on both ends. She really is the kind of the glue that holds South Carolina together. So I'm going to give Zaya Cook some love. And then I'm going to go out to Stanford. They got a couple of great players, but Cameron Brink, big girl on the inside, gets 5-6 block shots a game. Stanford got eliminated the other night, but Cameron Brink is a really, really good player for Stanford.
So I'm gonna shout out. I think we all know this person. My aunt Tony J. Coleman. I think he was talking about Angel Reese from LSU. If I'm right, but yes, big girl and a monster. If I'm right, he was talking about it was either going to be Aaliyah Boston or Angel Reese, most likely. So big girl monster, they both are absolutely. All right, guys, we're gonna move on because I want to talk about your top 2 favorite women basketball players of all time. So this could be college, it could be WNBA, whatever it may be. And you know what? I'm gonna go first on this one. So I was right, LSU. She's talking about injuries, but I'm gonna go first. So my first one, I gotta go with the great Cheryl Miller. I don't think she gets enough love. She does get love, but because she never played in the WNBA came way after her.
Yeah.
She probably played 70s in high school, 80s in college, but she's really considered the greatest female basketball player of all time. No one has ever been greater than her of all time. And if she had the opportunity to play in the WNBA, she would have been a monster. Crazy monster. I think she's really the only person in history, but as far as I know, scored 105 points in a high school game. Her high school record was 132-4. Her college record was 112-20. She won 2 national championships with USC Trojan, 3-time college player, Olympic gold medalist, on and on and on and on. And all I know is that every time Reggie Miller, who's her brother, talks about her when they were kids, Reggie would be like, guess what? I scored 45. And Cheryl would be like, yeah, that's cool. I just dropped 60. So he can never be his big sister ever. And then my second, I got to go with the legend Cheryl Swoops, one of my favorite players of all time. I have many, many other favorites that I have not mentioned, but Cheryl Swoops was considered, I think at the time, the Michael Jordan of the WNBA at the time. I know she had a Nike sneaker named after her called Air Swoops, which was dope. But I know in college, I think she averaged like 35 points and then like one of the NCAA tournaments, which is crazy. So those are my top 2, Cheryl Miller and Cheryl's first name. Same first name, spelled differently. Cheryl Miller, Cheryl Swoops. Who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go number 2. I'm going to go with Candace Parker. I know there's a lot of them out there. I know there's a lot of them. Cheryl Miller was actually on my list. but I had to narrow it down. There's so many of them, but I went with Candace Parker. She's just was just phenomenal. She was and everything that she did. She's doing great stuff now on TV. But yeah, just loved everything the way she went about her game. Very physical, very dominant. It was really hard to stop her for sure. And my number one is the first female I've ever seen dunk in a game, and that's Lisa Leslie. I don't think she gets enough credit for everything that she's done. You know, the matriarch that she is as far as NBA goes, or WNBA, excuse me. So I went with Lisa Leslie from the LA Sparks and her day. I remember when the WNBA first started. You mentioned Cheryl Swoops and that Houston Comets team at the time. I think they won like the first three championships there. But Lisa Leslie was right there for the Sparks as well, dunking on people. So that's my two right there: Candace Parker and Lisa Leslie.
And Cynthia Cooper. Cynthia Cooper was nasty.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And my girl Tina Thompson.
Yes.
And gentlemen, if you know Tina Thompson, you know why I like Tina Thompson.
Tina Thompson used to always have that bright red lipstick on too.
Don't get me started.
But Jay, who your top two? I know we got 1,001 of them, but just give me two of them.
Yeah, no, it was pretty easy for me. I got two that stand out. Like you, Britt, I went with Cheryl Swoop. She was my favorite player. I liked her in college and when she was playing in Houston in the WNBA. So Cheryl Swoops was easy for me. And then Maya Moore. I wish, she kind of retired early, but Maya Moore was phenomenal at Connecticut. Then she won a bunch of championships in the WNBA as well. So Cheryl Swoops and Maya Moore, those are my top two.
Yeah, I looked up to Maya Moore. I know she's only like a year or two older than me, but when I seen her at UConn, I said, she is my favorite player. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I followed her ever since. So I'm proud of her. Love you, Maya Moore. Come on our show.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get Maya Moore.
Right.
All right, guys. So I think next week I'm going to save the NBA awards. So I'm going to save that for next week. But because this is in our title and we have to talk about it, and it's y'all favorite player growing up, it has recently been reported that NBA legend and current majority Charlotte's Hornets owner, Michael Jordan, the GOAT, is currently in talks to sell his majority ownership of the Hornets. Do you think this is the right decision? And do you think he was a good sports owner? Jay, I'm gonna come to you first.
That's a good question, and it's a question that has a couple layers to it, right? Because is he a good sports owner? Well, like if he's an owner that's in business, then he's great because he bought the team. I don't remember how much exactly he bought the team for, but it's like doubled or tripled in value since he bought it. So from a business standpoint, he's going to make out just fine. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it from business, yeah, he's a great owner because he's going to make a lot of money if he decides to sell the team. Now, obviously from the wins and losses standpoint, there's a lot to be desired there, and he never could get Charlotte to the level that I'm sure that he hoped. But it's hard to win in the NBA. It's hard to win championships. So I know a lot of people kind of look at MJ as a failure in the front office. I don't necessarily look at it like that. I just don't think he was able to have teams and coaches and get that one or two dynamic players that it takes to get over the hump. So I do think it's a good decision. Especially if he doesn't want to do it anymore, go ahead and take that boatload of money and walk away. So I think it's a good decision. And I think business wise, he made out just fine. So.
Yeah. I think business wise, it's a great decision. You're up, you're in the positive. Well above the positive. I think it was 100 and something million he brought the team for. Now it's worth like 1.5 billion or something.
Yeah, I mean
something in that nature. So he made out very, very well for himself. But let me tell you something. He's the GOAT as a player. He's a lamb as an owner. He was terrible.
I don't want to go that far, Britt.
No. His team was trash. His team is trash. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it what it is. That team was trash. Look, I understand that's up to your scouting, your GM, and all that, but ultimately, you are the owner of this organization. You take control of everything. if your GM is your scouting is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and it's up to you to fire these guys and get the people that you need in here. You telling me you couldn't get one of these good coaches? You're Michael Jordan. I'm pretty sure you could find one of these decent coaches out here. Mike Brown was out there for a long time. You know, there have been so many good coaches that have been sitting waiting for a job, and you didn't hire them. Scouting department, you got to do better. You got to do better in your scouting department. I'm sorry. So I just think as an owner, he just wasn't making the right decisions as an owner to ensure that his team gets somewhat better, at least average NBA team. They've been terrible since he's been owning them for the most part. So look, I love Michael Jordan as a player, but odds are he may want to tap into it again. Just because he's selling this team doesn't mean he won't try it again, and that doesn't mean he won't get better later on. This is a lesson learned as an ownership standpoint on what he could do differently going forward. But his team sucked as an owner. But K-Walk, what are your thoughts?
I'm not going to sit here and let you disrespect
Michael
Jeffrey Jordan. You're not going to sit here and disrespect Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
I still think he's the
greatest
GOAT
of all time. Don't want you.
Not in ownership.
You have the chance, Britt.
Not in ownership.
It's my spot right now, Britt. Hey, don't disrespect that man. That man has done wonders for that organization, man. Certain guys, when you're the greatest of all time, there's the level when he left the game, he left it at a high level, man. He left it on a high level. He could have still played 2, 3, 6 years. So I don't know how many more years, but at least 2 years. But when you get into a situation like that, you look around the league. How many teams have honestly said that they won a championship? Look and got a great coach. Look at Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers with the Sixers. Look at Doc Rivers with the Sixers. They haven't won anything. Pop just fell off. Pop was winning so many championships for a certain period of time. Now he's fell off. He's not winning anything. He's probably arguably one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst, behind the Houston Rockets. With all that being said,
hey, before you finish that thought, when did Michael Jordan's Hornets ever become relevant?
No. What?
Those teams at one point in time were good. Now they may have not. They may be going through that phase
and
now.
There's other teams in the league as well who has owners just as long, if not longer, that haven't been good. Is Mike a great a business guy? He's a great business guy. We know that. Now, does he have an eye for talent? I can't argue with that, Kwame Brown. I can't defend you there, MJ. That was a rough call there, but I get it. But the fact of the matter, you're not going to say that his teams didn't suck. It's just he's just not that guy in that position, in that situation. I'm sorry, but MJ, man. But to answer the question, man, I think that what you have to do, MJ, is sell. Like you guys mentioned, you kind of touch on the stock market is, you buy low, you sell high. That's what MJ does. He's a great businessman, and he just couldn't get it done, as an owner. And he knows when to bow out. He knows that he has a lot more endorsements, a lot of other things that he rather indulge in, man. With the way that we talked about the league. And no defense being played. Maybe you come out of retirement. Maybe we'll see him in a uniform. We don't know. But
he could still get 15 a night.
Yeah, probably. If he get 15 a night, that's saying a lot. I agree with you though, Britt. All jokes aside, he's my man, and it's hard for me to say he failed. But I think he ultimately it just wasn't what he thought it would be, as far as an owner. So I think it's a right move for him. He understands that it's not working for him and not working for that organization. So it's the right time to bow out for sure. So I agree.
But see, I don't think he failed. I think his team sucked.
Well, I mean, he didn't win a championship.
I think he won because.
In what way? You just gonna say
of how much money he got from selling.
That's what I'm saying. From a business standpoint. Yeah,
from a business standpoint, he absolutely won. So.
Yeah, but Mike ultimate goal was he wanted to win. He wanted to ring as an exec. He wanted to ring as an exec. I think that's some guy's ultimate goal, man. It's really a big thing for them.
And there's really only a handful of teams. Like you can even go back to the 90s. There's not a lot of teams that have won championships. I mean,
right?
I never said
Lakers, Celtics,
here's
Warriors.
Here's you guys are confusing me. I never said won a championship. I never said won a championship. I said at least be an average to a good team. They
No,
were
you
never
said he
even
sucked.
that average.
Yeah, you
He
said he
did
sucked.
suck.
Okay, that's what you
The
said.
Hornets
so
team sucks.
Don't-
They
don't
made
They
the
try to-
were
playoffs
below
once or
average.
twice, right? Didn't they make
Yeah,
the
they did.
playoffs once or
I
twice?
mean, for the
they made
last
the
couple
playoffs
years,
once or twice.
I don't remember that, so it doesn't matter. All right, let's go. All right, guys, let's move on. We gotta head into break now because if not, I will hold on to this for the entire show. And I don't know if Jay gets mad or not. It's up to him. But as we know, it's now we're gonna head into break. Jay's gonna take over, but please, I did not say this at the beginning of the show, and I should have. Follow us. We are on Spotify. Hold on, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We also have a Twitter now, Sideline Speaks at Sideline Speaks on Twitter. Please follow us, add us, comment, do whatever you like to do. We will respond. And of course, please subscribe, like, and share our YouTube channel at The Sideline Speaks. All right, guys. We will be right back, and Jay's going to take over. Yeah, I had a little brain moment there. I had a brain moment. I'm going to be honest with you guys. But you guys
MJ
listen
will do
to
that to you.
you guys listen to the Sideline Speaks with myself, Britne Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker, right here on Never Had It So Good Sports and Media Network.
CampLyman.com is an opportunity for my big boys to come get some work. Let's put it all together. We built from the ground up. You know, our cliche is it all starts up front. Once again, start, stance, hand placement, hand separation, get-offs, counter moves, a little bit of everything. Polish up those skills before your middle school or high school season began. Just come work on your craft. Once again, CampLyman.com.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Britne Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.
All right, guys, welcome back to Sideline Speaks. Britne Jones, Kevin Walker, and Jason Collins. That was a good first segment, Britt. You got us fired up. That first segment. That was some good stuff. Let's keep it going. We haven't talked about any college basketball yet. We're right smack dab in the middle of the NCAA tournament. Brackets are busted all over the country. Mine's a mess. I don't know about you guys. But the nice thing about it is you kind of can do a redo. This is a perfect time to do a redo. So I want your new Final Four, or maybe it's the same one you picked last week. I don't know. I know some of the teams I had in are now eliminated, so I had to come up with a new Final Four. But K-Walk, how's your bracket looking? And give me your new Final Four going forward.
Yeah, Jay, my Final Four is looking pretty good. I can't say the same for the rest of my bracket, but for the most part, I had Alabama, Duke, Houston, and UCLA last week.
Okay.
This week I still have Alabama alive, Houston, and UCLA. So
Yep.
Duke is out. So I replaced them with Kansas State.
Okay.
I love Kansas State in the East. I love Marquise Noel, the short guy there, the short guard there. Outstanding handle. Very feisty guy, man. Plays on both ends of the court, defense and offense. He's 5'8", man, but he plays a lot taller than that. Jerome Tang, the coach there, has got them, fired up. So I like them going into the Final Four, and possibly getting into the championship game. I'm not quite sure though, but I do have actually. It's very possible. Because I'm not too high on Houston and Alabama right now.
Yeah.
But Alabama and K-State, if they get that far, would face one another. And if that happens, it's a coin flip for me. But I do have everything's remain the same. Just K-State replaces Duke from last week.
Oh, that's pretty good, man, because I think 3 out of the 4 teams I had last week are no longer alive. Alabama's the only team that I had that's still in it. But just like you, my new 4 is exactly like yours, K-Walk. I got K-State, Alabama, UCLA, and Houston as my new Final Four. I had Memphis in the Final Four. They completely disappointed me. I think I even threw Miami in my Final Four. They could so. Mine is a complete mess, but I like my new 4 going forward. I think this 4 might have a legitimate shot to actually get there. Britt, what's it looking like for you over there?
I had Kansas in my Final Four, and trash.
Yeah.
I don't know why my son today I want to use these harsh words. Michael Jordan sucks as ownership. Kansas is trash.
That time of the year. Spring in the air. Spring, yeah.
Competitive nature starts coming back out. No. I had to go with Alabama. Right now I don't see a lot of. I know Alabama may be up and down a little bit. I think they'll turn it around. Brandon Miller is going to go off. He's going to go off. And if they show up defensively that like they have been throughout the entire season, they're going to be a very tough out for the rest of the teams. I wish and I wanted to go with Princeton, but they had to go through Alabama to get there, and I don't see them beating out of Alabama. Unfortunately, I do think they have a good chance against was it Creighton? I can see Princeton potentially beating Creighton. I think that's a possibility, but Alabama's going to be too tough. I also have Houston and UCLA. These teams are so inconsistent, but like the men's side is just so tough this year. But I went with Tennessee. I didn't go with, I think it's Kansas State side. I went with Tennessee versus Kansas State. I think it's something about them that I like. So we'll see what happens. Just never know. Never know.
And K-Walk, you've been preaching that for the last few weeks, just talking about how these teams have been so inconsistent all year long, and we're seeing that play out in the tournament, man. So really anything can happen. Who really knows? But we'll kind of see how it plays out this weekend. All right, let's kind of stay on the basketball talk here, guys. A lot of talk about coaches, Final Four. I want to talk about your Mount Rushmore of college basketball coaches. And I got to tell you, my list, guys, you're probably going to be surprised because I don't have a lot of the usual suspects on my list because
same here.
One of the things I've been thinking about is some of these coaches benefit from just coaching the best players. Like if you coach the best players all the time, doesn't mean you're not a great coach. I'm not saying you're not a great coach, but to me, great coaching is when you take guys that maybe aren't as talented and then you coach them up. Like you can just coach the best players to a championship. I'm not taking that away from you, but could another guy had sat in that seat and did the same thing? So I tried to pick out some guys that I thought were really great coaches. Go ahead, Britt.
Jay, real quick. I know this is not college. So is this something you saying that? Can I finally say that Larry Brown's a better coach than Phil Jackson?
I mean, you could make that argument. I think Larry Brown is a great coach. I think he's a great coach. The one thing I will say about Phil Jackson, though, is that Shaq and Kobe didn't win until he got there. And Mike and Scotty, they didn't win until he got there. So he definitely deserves some credit as well. But I think Larry Brown's one of the best coaches to do it. I really do. Okay, well, you want to chime in on that one at all?
Larry Brown is a coach.
Yeah, Jay. I'm just going to echo what you said, man. Just basically, I was going to say the same exact thing.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say anything more than that.
All right, Britt. I'm going to start with you. Give me your Mount Rushmore college basketball coaches.
Not in any particular order, guys.
Right.
So I also went a different route, and after I say my first one, I'll tell you why. I went with Coach Mike Krzyzewski, if I say his last name right.
Okay.
I had to. I'm not a Duke fan whatsoever, but what he did with Duke was just unbelievable. 13 Final Four appearances with five national championships. I think his record was 1,202 to 368. That's ridiculous. As we know, a basketball Hall of Famer, 3-time Olympic gold medalist. Like he's just a great coach. He understands. He knows how to teach his players the game of basketball and how to play the game properly. And we've seen that time and time again from a lot of his athletes when they come into the NBA. Jason Tatum, Kyrie Irving, Grant Hill, so forth. He does coach so many. I think LeBron, if he would have went to college, I think he was going to go to Duke as well to play for Coach K. And there's a reason behind that. Now I went with a different route with this one because most people always just want to go with the men's side and never think about the women's side. So my next one, I went with Coach Pat Summitt. 18 Final Four appearances with 8 national championships. Her record was 1,098 to 208. Fantastic women's basketball coach at Tennessee. One of the best. I think she's one of the best coaches, period. Men's or women's, period. My next one, I won't take too long because I could go on and on about these guys. Coach Gino for UConn, even better record, 22 Final Four appearances with 11 national championships. You always talk about winning. Like, this is some ridiculous numbers here. 3-time Olympic gold medalist as a head coach, 8-time Naismith Coach of the Year. His basketball record is ridiculous. I know some people like, you didn't say Jim Boeheim. You didn't say Roy, what's his name? I can't think of his last name right now.
Williams.
Roy Williams. Like, I must be out of my mind. But I don't think enough of the women's side head coaches give credit. Now, this last one is still to be determined, but I went with him because I'm a homer. You're right. I went with her. I think you guys know what I'm saying because she didn't retire yet. I went with Coach Dawn Staley. I just think her mindset, her recruiting ability, she's going to be a future great coach. She's already a great in my mind. And this one is a little bit out the box. We're going with this one because I know I could have chose a lot of more established, a lot more accomplished head coaches than her. But what she did in this short amount of time with South Carolina and the future of this team, she will be there for as long as she chooses to be, and they will continue to pay her. She's actually the program's all-time winningest coach, and she's only been there for so many years. So 4 Final Four appearances with 2 national championships. I know the last one was out the box, but the other 3 were definitely should be on the college coaches Mount Rushmore.
I'd actually take Staley over Gino, to be honest with you. I look, and I don't want to take anything away from Gino, but I feel like he really, because I mean, all those championships he won, that was like a different era of women's college basketball. Connecticut and Tennessee were like the only 2 teams that had a chance to win, in my opinion. So, but I digress. I mean, that's a good list, all great coaches. None of them were on my list, though. I went with Jim Boeheim. Britt, you mentioned him. I know I think he's only got the 1 national championship, but I feel like he's a guy that never really had that loaded roster, but always had a competitive, good basketball team. That Syracuse famous zone that they play. So I went with Jimmy Boeheim as one of my top 4 guys. I went with Jim Calhoun from Connecticut. Again, probably not a guy that's going to be on everybody's list, but 4 Final Fours, 3 national championships. Again, a guy who I think can really coach, didn't always benefit from having the best roster, but could really coach. Same thing, Lute Olson from Arizona. I could say the same thing about him. When he got to Arizona, he completely turned that program around. 5 Final Fours, 1 national championship. But again, never had all the elite talent, but was just a really good coach. And then the last guy I went with, I know he'll be a little controversial because he's a bit of a jerk, but I went with Bobby Knight. 5 Final Fours, 3 national championships. So he rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I certainly don't agree with everything that he's done. But if we're just talking X's and O's, I think you got to have Bobby Knight on your list. So I got Boeheim, Calhoun, Lute Olson, and the great Bobby Knight. K-Walk, give me that Mount Rushmore.
Pause.
Oh, go ahead.
Time out.
Go ahead.
So you don't get, no, not your Mount Rushmore. You don't think Pat Summitt is one of the best head coaches in college basketball? You bugging.
The reason I don't is because...
Why? Because she had Candace Parker?
No, only because that era of women's college basketball, like Tennessee and UConn had all the best players, and the players on the other teams just weren't as developed. So it was just going to be. It was a 2
as a head coach.
It was a 2-team. Well, I'm not saying
because
that
they're that good of a head coach.
I'm not saying she's not a great coach. I'm just saying when you have the best players, you should win. That's all I'm saying. And I feel like Gino and Pat really benefited from a time where women's college basketball was not competitive. Like Gino hasn't won much lately. I know. So I think they're good coaches. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not good coaches. I just don't.
He hasn't won, but his team's been in the Final Four last year.
But
make it there this year without their best players.
I guess my point is, like, when the playing field is even, What are you going to do? Where are the adjustments? Where's that crucial play call? Like, I thought Gino was a huge letdown last year against South Carolina. I didn't think he coached the team well at all. But again, I'm not saying they're not good. I just think they benefited from having great players at a time when women's college basketball was not competitive.
But also, you got to think about, it's a coach's job to also coach them up to be better. Those players weren't those players when they got there. They were good talent. He had good talent, but they were not those players. I mean, outside of like a Candace Parker, like the exceptional ones, but all those players on his team that he coached were not those players. He has to coach them up.
I mean, I think he's good. Don't get me wrong.
Better coach than a couple of guys that you said on your list.
Because if you have like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, Rebecca Lobo, Maya Moore, like if you have all the best players and then you're playing against a bunch of girls that aren't, like, UConn would beat people like 100-25 sometimes. Like, it just wasn't competitive. So
you still need a good coach to bridge that talent together and have that chemistry.
I just feel like a lot of coaches could have won
and have them play.
I just think a lot of coaches could have won with that roster. I don't think he did anything special to win.
And then some of those players weren't WNBA prospects until they got to them. There's a reason why they decided to
I don't know if that's true though, because at that time,
or South Carolina,
at that time, all the best players were going to UConn or Tennessee. Like, there wasn't a Louisville, a Notre Dame, a Stanford. Like, those other teams didn't have the talent. Now the talent is there's more talented players and it's more spread out. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I just think when you have the best players, it's easier to win.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I mean, I went with the traditional guys. I mean, I think one of the things about being a great coach is being a great recruiter. So I think you have to factor that into it. If you get player after player, I don't want to say guy after guy or girl after girl, but player after player, best players, they develop a reputation to being not just a great recruiter, but a great coach too. Because if you go there, if you see, okay, well, to use some of your players' names, Jay, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, the list, Candace Parker, the list goes on and on. Oh, she went there, so he must be good. What did you hear about, Gino or Pat Summitt, whatever the case may be, or some of the guys that I'm going to mention in a minute. I think that's a part of it. I think recruiting and coaching all coming together. I mentioned earlier, it's like one thing to get something, it's another thing to maintain it. So if you can maintain that reputation, then you become a great coach. And then regardless of who you're coaching, whether they're a great player or average player or a below average player. But that's just my opinion on that, on you guys' little debate there, if you will. So with that being said, I'm going to go with honorable mention. I had Bob Knight, Jay. I did have Bob Knight as my honorable mention. He was I was teetering with him as far as getting in, but my Mount Rushmore, and I went with strictly men's here, ladies and gentlemen. So don't look for me on the street because I didn't add it because I thought it was a strictly men's, and I apologize for that. But nonetheless, I went with Dean Smith. I went with Dean Smith for the University of North Carolina, 879 wins, 2 titles, 11 Final Four appearances as well. I went with Coach K, Britt. I went with Coach K. Coach K has 5 titles. Everything that Britt mentioned, 5 titles, 13 Final Fours, 15 ACC tournament championships. That's saying a lot because back in the day when Coach K was playing, those ACC teams were serious, man. They were really, really serious. And then I went with Roy Williams. My man Roy Williams. I know I'm going to sound like a homer, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm a Tar Heel fan. But Roy Williams, when he got, look at everything that he did with Kansas, and then when he came home, if you will, because he is a Tar Heel at heart. 903 wins, 3 national championships, 9 Final Four appearances as well, and 6 conference championships. That's between Kansas and North Carolina. And I think the one guy that we got I don't know how anybody misses this guy, but the guy that the award is named after is John Wooden. why not put John Wooden on the Mount Rushmore? 10 championships, 12 Final Fours, 15 Pac-12 championships. I mean, we all know. You mentioned the guys that he played with. We had Bill Walton, Lou Alcindor at the time, also known right now as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I went with John Wooden. Coach K, Dean Smith, and Roy Williams on the Mount Rushmore, with the Bob Knight on the outside looking in.
Yeah, that's a good list, man. You got a lot of the traditional powerhouse
And I'm going
guys.
with that. I'm staying with that.
That's you
That's
got
the reason why
those guys for sure. No John Calipari, anyone?
Calipari, nah, he didn't.
Yeah.
What did he win? One?
I think he's got one.
Or
I'm not
two?
impressed
No,
with him.
two,
I think he's one of the most overhyped coaches, honestly. I'm not super impressed. Real quick, I know I didn't mention this, but Rick Pitino, he just got hired as St. John's coach.
I like that.
A 6-year deal. He's going to be 71 when the season kicks off. What'd you think of that hiring, K-Walk? Pitino, St. John's.
Yeah, as a local guy, we love it here. We love it here in New York, man. What are they called? Red Storm now. And I can't call them the other name. Political reasons or for those particular terms. I like it, Jay. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, this is a good move for him. I know he was at Iona, and he got them into the tournament. So I think he's going to do big things for St. John's, and I think you're going to see them make some noise, and they'll be in a tournament this year or next year for sure. So I love it for the Johnnies.
Britt, what do you think about Pitino?
No, I think he'll do well for him. He's a good coach. I always thought he was a good coach. Now, other reasons for whatever else outside of basketball is not any of my worries.
Yeah.
But no, I think he'll help to turn that program around, and they'll be back in the running soon.
Yeah, I think it's a good hire. I saw him talk, like someone on ESPN was asking him, like, you're going to be 71, 6-year deal, why? And he was just like, listen, I can't live without basketball. He said, it's a part of my life. I'm unhappy if I'm not doing it. So he said, I cannot live without basketball. Yeah. So when you got a guy like that, I don't think it matters how old he is. Like, that's what he wants to do. He's probably going to do it till the day that he dies. So
that was like Joe Paterno of Penn State. Same thing.
It's just,
that man was 90-some years old coaching.
You just and coaching can do that to you too. Like it has an addictive quality for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's some guys that are just lifers. That's all they want to do. They don't even think about retiring. All right, let's move on, guys. Let's talk about Cam Newton real quick. Because K-Walk, you texted it last night that he threw today, I think it was, at Auburn's Pro Day. He's trying to kind of revive his career, maybe make a little bit of a comeback here. Britt, what do you think about Cam Newton trying to restart the engine and get back in the NFL?
How old is Cam Newton?
I don't think he's that old, right? What is he, 31, 32 maybe?
No, he's older than that.
Is he
33, 34 maybe?
Let me look it up real quick.
Might be 35.
He's 33. 33.
Okay, 33. Yeah, I figured he was a little older than that. I don't know. I'm so old to Cam Newton train it now. Like it's just long gone. He's not the same player he once was, guys. He clearly is not. I know he tried to go back to the Carolina Panthers a few years ago. It just didn't work out. He doesn't even look the same. And when I mean look the same, his play, and it's just like you're struggling there a little bit. So I think just hang it up, work on some other things. I'm hoping my cat does not knock down any of my stuff. Okay, we good. So I think it's time.
Cam fan.
Right. I love Cam Newton. I always was a huge fan of his. I always had respect for him, especially when he played at Auburn. But it's time to hang it up. I think it's time to hang it up.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think he can play anymore. I just think when you never really develop yourself as an elite passer, your career is going to be shorter because at some point the running, the physicality of your game, like you're just not going to be able to do that into your 30s. You got to have a curveball. You got to have something else you can go to. And I just don't know that he ever really developed his passing game enough to hang around late in his career. But K-Walk, what say you?
Yeah, this was going to be my rant, guys, to be honest with you. That's cool. It's cool. We can get it right here, right now, because you know what, Cam, man, I love Cam, man. I love Cam. He's going to look good, throwing against air, throwing to receivers, when no one's guarding them. That's always going to look pretty. We always see that's with the combine and as they call it, the underwear Olympics. But Cam's last performance or his last outing in Carolina, like Britt mentioned. I mean, we talked about it. As far as Tom Brady, he's skipping rocks out there, but he was skipping rocks, throwing to the outside. So hard to throw. Cam's skipping rocks on slant routes. So we're talking about 6-7 yard routes, man. You're skipping rocks there. Cam, you know what? You're my guy, man. I love you. We started at the University of Florida, go Gators, and you wind up in Auburn. If you would have stayed that one more year, we'd have won a national championship. That's a topic for another day. But yeah, Cam, man, I get it, man. You come out and you say that there's 32 other quarterbacks. There's not 32 quarterbacks better than you. I say that they are. Yeah, I really wholeheartedly believe that, brother, because you're not getting a starting spot in the league. You can go on down to from number 1 to number 32, and I can guarantee you that you're not better than that 32 guy, that 32nd guy by any stretch, man. I mean, your arm is weak. I know you took a year off. You're feeling good about yourself. You're back, but in the beginning of the season, you're going to look good. You'll probably look better than a lot of people give you credit for. But as the season progresses and that year starts to take on that toll of that day-to-day routine, you going against the guys on a daily basis or a weekly basis, it's going to catch up to you, bro. So it's just know this, Cam, man. I get your competitive nature, man. We get it. I love it, man. When you started, I was sipping, they called it Cammy Cam juice. I was sipping the Cammy Cam juice. I can't do it anymore. It's diluted now, brother. The Cammy Cam juice is diluted. So let it go, brother. And just go out there and look for your next endeavors, man, and be successful in your next endeavors. But your NFL career is over, bro.
Yeah, it's time to let it go. He's got to let it go, man. Good stuff, K-Walk. All right, let's talk a little bit of NBA. Then we got to wrap this thing up and get out of here. The Denver Nuggets, guys. I think last week we were talking about our top 2 teams, and I don't know. I don't think any of us had the Nuggets as a top 2 team. I think we kind of all agreed, if I remember correctly, that they were maybe overrated. We didn't really think this was a team that could win a championship. But looking at them, guys, I went back and took a second look. Are we overlooking this team? They got the Joker, right? We know Jamal Murray is a very, very good player. And if Porter Jr. can stay healthy, I mean, that gives them 3 really, really good players. That gives them a decent or better than decent big 3, in my opinion. Britt, are we overlooking the Nuggets? Can they be a real contender? Your cat says yes.
Oreo, you got to go. Look, maybe this year, I think because of their position, they'll get out of the first round. I just feel like they come up against the Warriors. We talked about how we feel about the Warriors. The Warriors are in a situation where it's like, been there, done that type of thing. Let's just get to the playoffs and go from there, right? Grizzlies, I'm not really sure about the Grizzlies, so maybe they could replace the Grizzlies only because Ja Morant, I don't know what's going on with him. We don't know if he's going to be playing or not. Yeah. They can't seem to get it together. I know the Suns are struggling a little bit right now, but I think they'll figure it out by the time the playoffs start. And it's just too much if they play the Suns. It's just too much to deal with. And I'm missing the team over there. I know I'm missing them. I see them getting past the first round this year. I just don't see them going any further. I don't. Okay. Like, we've seen this before. Look, Michael Porter Jr. is great, but just the same thing as you mentioned, health with him, same thing with Jamal Murray. It's always a health issue, and I just feel like as talented as Jamal Murray is, I don't know if he's still the same player that he once was. Remember, he was supposed to be rising and be the star of this team.
Yep.
He is no longer the Jokic is now the star. He's more that second in line type of player now on the team. I love Bruce Brown. I love what he did for the Nets. I like what he's doing for Denver I think he comes off the bench. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I like Aaron Gordon. I just don't, as much talent as they have on this team, I just think when it comes down to the playoffs, I just don't think it's going to work. I don't. And I feel like primary might be they are much better defensively as a team. It's just something doesn't click in the playoffs for them. When things slow down, those lanes get tighter. It's not as easier for Jokic to find those lanes like it is in the regular season. I literally see them as the Dan Marino, like the Miami Dolphins Dan Marino of the NBA. Great regular season team, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that. It really is.
They have to show me something. Got to show me something a little bit more, and I just haven't seen it yet. So we'll see. Playoffs is a different mindset, so we'll see what happens. They may change my mind.
Okay, well, I'm starting to have a little bit of change of heart about this team that maybe they can make some noise. What do you think?
Yeah, Britt, and Britt kind of mentioned that Dan Marino, man, don't do that to my man. That's my man. It gets a raw rap. And just like Dan Marino. No, I know, but just like Dan, right, but just like Dan Marino, it's just like the Denver Nuggets. He didn't have a defense, so the Denver Nuggets don't have a defense. So you mentioned I agree with everything that you mentioned and all the players that you mentioned, Britt, from the offensive side of the court. But the defensive side of the court, that's where I have a problem with the Denver Nuggets. Is they don't do that. They don't extend both. They don't exuberate their energy on the defensive side of the ball. They still, when they look to outscore you, they don't look to stop you. We mentioned that earlier, is that this day and age there's no defense being played in the NBA right now. Rarely, a few teams, a few players. But yeah, Jay, I watched this team the other day against the New York Knicks, and a team like that, a hungry team like the New York Knicks, can beat them, 4 games out of 7 or 3 games out of 5, whatever the number is or whatever the series is. And I see a couple of teams in the West that can do the same thing. I mentioned last week that they're the most overrated team in my opinion, and I mentioned that the Knicks were the most underrated team. And I think that when we're starting to see, when they're playing a hungry team, they can't really play with these teams, especially just as talented as the Knicks are. If you play a talented team like the Kings, we mentioned it. The Kings are. I know we're going to get into the Kings, but the Kings are a team you got to watch out for. The Suns, when KD gets back, you got to watch out for them as well. And whenever the Warriors decide to wake up, watch out for them as well. So with all that being said, I'm just not impressed right now with the Denver Nuggets. Can they turn it on when it matters? It remains to be seen. But as of right now, from what I'm seeing, I don't see them getting past the second round. In my opinion,
Jay, I'll say this. Look, they got a game against the Sixers, right, coming up. Jokic versus Joel Embiid. Let me see how this team plays against the Sixers. If the Sixers want to play well that game. They've been playing well, but let's see what happens. If they could look a little bit more dominant. This is not a dominant type of team. This is more of a finesse type of team. And in the playoffs, I think you just need pure dominance. I think they may have a game against the Bucks as well. I might be wrong on that. I have to look at their schedule again. I just along with K-Walk said, defense is a big. I know their defense is much better. You look at it statistically, I think they're in the top 10 or something crazy like that.
It's not hard to beat though.
Yeah, it's not. Playoffs, it changes. And who's defending in the post? Jokic's not playing defense in the post against a top DeAndre Ayton. And he's still a young guy. So, and then when you get to guys, luckily Joel's not over there. So you're definitely not going to stop him in the post. So I think that's just a big factor, and they have to work on that. They got to get better at that.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. I was trying to make a case for them, but the more you guys talked, the more I think I agree. The pace of play in the playoffs, I think you're right. I think their defense will definitely be their Achilles heel. So I agree. I think maybe they'll win the first round depending on what that matchup is. But you're right. I don't think they get out of the second round. The NBA does such a good job, though, guys, of always of marketing their players. I think they do that better than any of the other leagues in sports. We went from Magic and Bird to Mike to Kobe to LeBron. Who do you guys think is going to be that next face of the league, if you will? Who's that young player that's going to be the next guy to sort of carry the torch as LeBron fades off? who picks up the torch and runs with it, K-Walk? Who's the new face, or who will be the new face of the NBA? This was hard for me. Nobody really jumped out. I mean, and we should probably mention Steph too, because I feel like he and LeBron have kind of shared that over the last several years. But when they fade, who do you think picks up that torch, K-Walk?
About 4 weeks ago, I would have said Ja Morant, but that's not definitely not the issue there. So let's throw that out the window. Can I say this guy? I don't know if he's young enough for me to say this guy, but Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid right now is playing some of the best all-around basketball that I've seen in quite some time. And I'm not bigging you up. I'm not trying to make you smile, Britt, but it's just what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, not Ja Morant, whoever that is. G girl. Yeah, definitely not Ja Morant. So yeah, I mean, I have to go with is he young enough? Can I say? He's
gonna be around for a while, right?
28. He's like 28,
okay.
29.
Yeah, he'll be around. Right,
so he'll probably got another good 5 years.
I really want to say him because as much as I dislike the Sixers, I really like Joel Embiid's game. I really do, man. I mean, sorry, Britt, I am. I'm gonna call.
We're not even rivals of the Heat. Like, I don't understand that. Okay, go ahead.
We are, but I just don't like Philly.
No, we're not.
Well, I just don't like the Philly fans. How about that? Call a spade. Y'all could come at me. It's not like the first time, but I really like Joel Embiid, man. I mean, the other night, what did he have? 37 points. I think 13 to 16 rebounds, 3 blocks. And he does it on a consistent basis, man. I just don't understand why he doesn't get enough of it. So since we're teetering, I'm going to say he's that guy for me, Jay.
Okay.
To be honest with you. So I'm going to say Joel Embiid. Is there a younger guy out there? Maybe Giannis. You could put Giannis in that argument
maybe
as
Giannis.
well. If Joel Embiid, ladies and gentlemen, is too old for you, as far as being the face of the NBA going on, I'll go with Giannis. Giannis is definitely younger, and he's definitely just as talented as Joel Embiid. So Joel Embiid with a close Giannis.
Okay. Britt, who you got?
Okay. This one was actually harder. I know a lot of people say Luka. I think he's a runner-up. Definitely think he's a runner-up. What he's doing with the Nets is amazing.
Bum Simmons.
I think people forget about Jason Tatum. I know he's a quiet guy. Jason Tatum's only 24 years old. Only 20. Why does it feel like it's funny because it feels like he's been in this league for about 10 years and he's only about 24 years old. And that's fine. Most young guys around that aren't the most consistent. Ja Morant right now is not the most consistent. Sage Gilgeous-Alexander is not the most consistent. But I think when you're talking about just pure talent, offensively and defensively, what he did to Kevin Durant, that sticks out in a lot of people's mind. That was just last year. He has that abilities. Like once he learns, remember he hasn't even hit his prime yet, and that's the crazy part about Jason Tatum. Once he really learns and understands his true skill set and the levels he can reach, I thought my cat was trying to play with me right now. This kid is going to be unbelievable. And I can honestly say, and the way he carries himself, guys, he's not boisterous. He doesn't get himself in trouble. He's basically real low key with a level head, and that's what you want in a young star that's potentially going to be the face of the NBA.
Yeah,
I know there may be some other guys out there, but I just don't think they're developed just yet. So I'm gonna go with Jason Tatum for right now.
Yeah, I like that one. It is hard though, because none of these guys to me like really jump out. Like I feel like a lot of the guys that came before them were obvious picks. Yeah. I don't know that any of these guys really jump out. Like I like the Embiid one too, K-Walk, but I guess my question would be like, does he move the needle? Like is Embiid appointment TV? Like when Mike was like, oh, Mike's playing, I gotta watch the game. Magic and Bird, Kobe's on, I gotta watch. Does Joel move the needle in that? Like, I think he's a great player, but is Joel Embiid appointment TV? Like, do you stop what you're doing to say, oh, Joel's playing, I gotta watch? Like, for me, that's probably a no. That's my only thing with Embiid. I don't know that he's going to move the needle in the way that you kind of need a face of your league to move the needle. But I don't know. Maybe it's someone that we're not thinking of. I don't know. Go ahead.
But how many players? By the way, said Joel's so underrated, which I actually probably agree with a little bit. How many players do we sit and say that nowadays? Oh, so point. Let me watch it. You don't really do that too much anymore with any players.
I think for me, like I feel like Steph still moves the needle. Like if Steph's playing, I kind of want to see it. But you're right. I don't think there's a lot of KD for me. KD for me moves the needle for sure.
It's not the same as when Kobe's playing. Oh my goodness.
No, definitely not.
Mike's playing. AI's playing. Vince playing, Tracy McGrady's playing. Like it's not the same. So
it's not.
If a game is on, now we most look at the team matchups. If it's the Suns versus the Celtics, they're like, okay, I gotta watch that.
Well, that's different, from the team
players.
standpoint. Yeah,
it's more from the team standpoint.
Yeah. So maybe it'll be. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the NBA does because they've done such a great job over the years of having those marketable stars. It's just going to be interesting to see if there is someone that's going to like step forward and kind of become the face of the league. All right, guys. Britt, did you come up with a rant or no? Because I'm still rantless. K Walk already did his. You got one, or do you just want to do who's ball and then get out of here?
Well, here I got one. Since the World Baseball Classic is on, it looks like the USA is down 3-1. They better get it together. Come on now, get it together. All them high power stars on that team. I know Trey Turner was knocking the balls out the other day out of the park. Let me make sure I said that right. I said it right. Knocking the balls out of the park the other day. Come on now. Mike Trout about to get struck out, so we got to get that together. Let's get it together. You should beat Japan. Come on.
Yeah,
Japan got some great talent.
Yeah, they came to play.
Should beat them.
They came to play.
So that's my rant.
All right.
That counts as a rant?
Hey, that counts.
Hey, question for you guys before you get in your rant. Cause I texted you guys yesterday, last night about a question that I have for you guys, and I want to ask you. I meant to do it when we were on the college basketball segment. Let me ask you this: the men's basketball, they travel from region to region. They go region to region. Now, with the women's, they actually play on the top seeded or the higher seed. They actually play at their home stadium. Let me ask you this, or their home court. Which do you guys prefer? Do you prefer seeing guys go from playing in a region, or do you want to see them playing on a home, their own home court, meaning the highest seed? Jay, I'll start with you on this.
That's a great question, man, because I was just thinking about, I think from a competitive standpoint, it's definitely an advantage if you get to play at home. I mean, you got the home crowd behind you. So in the women's tournament, when you're playing at home, there is definitely an advantage built in. I think but it does bring a little bit more excitement too, because those women's games, like the crowd is packed in, whereas some of the regional games you might not get the travel.
Right.
But I think if you're holding me down and I have to pick, I think I'm going to say regional, just because I feel like it levels the playing field. And the tournament is supposed to be like a new season. So I feel like kind of leveling that playing field is maybe a little bit more fair, but I get why they do it in the women's tournament, because they probably just don't know if what the fan turnout's going to be like if they move it all over the country. So, but I think I'm going to say I prefer the regions if I had to choose.
All right, good stuff. Britt, what say you?
I'm hoping my computer doesn't freeze. I know it just froze 2 seconds ago. I'm going with the home court. We played hard. We worked our tails off. We deserve to get home court. If you think about it, though, women's basketball is closely related to the WNBA and NBA, even with the quarters. Men's is still on two halves. So, and it's probably to what Jay alluded to. They're not sure what the turnout will be, but I think college basketball is a lot different than the WNBA. There's still going to be a high turnout for college basketball for sure. But no, if I play hard and we won all these games, I want to be on home court. I want to hear my fans. Just because your team sucked during the course of the year.
Here we go again.
During the course of the year and got a worse record than us, I don't care. Forget that whole level playing field. We deserve home court. We worked our tails off. We're the better team. Come to my house. Let's see what you got.
All right, good stuff there, man. You know what? There's your rants right there, ladies and gentlemen. They're their rants. They didn't have rants. I gave them the rants tonight. But yeah, I'm going to agree with Britt. I'm going to agree with Jay on this one. I like the neutral court. I think that that's what it's about. Like Jay mentioned, alluded to, it's a new season. If your fan base is as good as as loyal as you expect them to be, they'll travel. They'll travel. If you win, you stay in that same, that location. So I'm going to say I like the regional more than the home court. I just think it's a new season, like Jay mentioned, and it just brings a lot more excitement there. And then you get other fans in there as well. And you can see certain fans that when they're waiting for their team to play, they get to watch another game, or 2 games or 3 games before that. So I like that aspect of it, for sure. So you're getting your money's worth, to say the least. So I'm going to go with the regional coverage. But back to you, Jay.
That's what every losing team wants. They want the I'm just kidding.
But you know what the funny thing is, like some of these, is it lower or higher cedar teams? I don't know how you look at it, but some of them actually have good records. It's not like they're bad.
Yeah.
Like some of them are only 5 and 6 loss teams, but because of the
they just don't play in that conference
or whatever, they end up being a 12 or 13 seed. But they actually have had good seasons, and that's another reason why. Because the seeding is subjective, I think playing on a neutral site just makes it a little bit more fair. But I see it both ways, and actually I do enjoy the crowd.
When the NFL does it, let's see how y'all feel.
Oh no, that's a different. That's a different.
It's a different animal because everybody plays each other, so it's a little bit of a different animal.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see how y'all feel.
Let's do who's balling, and let's get out of here because it's 9 o'clock, and I know Britt's got to get to bed soon. So,
what? No, I'm good. I got used to the.
I tried to turn it around.
Turn away from
it. I tried to turn. I know. I tried to turn it around on you a little bit there, Britt. But no, you're right. It's getting late. It's getting late early, guys. All right, every week we want to shout out somebody who's been absolutely balling, team, player, coach, whoever, whatever you want to shout out, just somebody who's been getting it done. K-Walk, I have a feeling that you and I are going to say the same thing. So I'm going to let Britt go first, and then I'm going to go second. I'm going to save you for last, K-Walk. Okay. But Britt, who you got this week? Who's balling?
I thought about Julius Randle because I know he played lights out. But that is March Madness. So I got to give it to my young men or women in March Madness. They're playing hard right now. So we talked about her earlier, guys. LSU's forward Angel Reese. The second round, she played lights the heck out. 25 points, 24 rebounds. I think she tied the record with the 24 rebounds, most in NCAA history. 4 assists during the tournament. 4 assists, 3 steals, 6 blocks, and a 66-42 LSU victory over Michigan to advance to the Sweet 16. Homegirl was balling. But then I got an honorable mention as well. I'm going to shout out Trey Turner of the USA for the USA World Baseball Classic. That Grand Slam, that was a couple games ago. And in the last game, he hit a couple home runs. Keep balling. Make sure you ball like that in Philly. Okay.
Good stuff there, Britt. Yeah, when you mentioned Julius Randle, I actually got mad the other day when he scored 57 points. I was mad because I'm like, Julius Randle should not score 57 points in an NBA game. I'm not saying he's a good player, but 57 for Randle just shows you the state of the defense in the NBA. Like he should not be scoring 57 points.
I'm pretty sure he could have did that in the 90s too.
Yeah. All right, K-Walk. I feel like we maybe, I don't know. So I got the University of Miami women's basketball team. They came up with that big win last night, upsetting number 1 seed Indiana. Close game, great game. We were texting back and forth about it. But Miami women's basketball, absolutely balling. Who you got, K-Walk?
Yeah, I didn't have them, Jay, they hurt me there though. They hurt me because I had Indiana in my Final Four on the women's side, but they did hurt me there. But I'm going to go, since I'm in New York and I'm in the tri-state area, I'm going to go with the local team here. and that's the Princeton Tigers. The Princeton Tigers went out and they upset the number 2 seed in the first round, Arizona, 59-55. Then they came back a couple days later, and they wound up beating Missouri, the 7th seed there. Princeton Tigers, local fans, local news here, guys, is going crazy. Last year was St. Peter's. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
But now this year it's Princeton. So, Britt, I know it's a little north of you, but still in New Jersey nonetheless. So we're going with the Princeton Tigers. They have absolutely been balling, and they got number 6 seed Creighton this week as well. So go Princeton Tigers.
Yeah, good call. Good call there for sure. All right, guys, good stuff. Good night. That was fun. Britt, let the people know where they can find you and if there's anything you're looking forward to this week.
I mean, what can I say? It's Sweet 16, Final Four time. So it's time. It's let's go. Can't mess up now. So for my females, Gamecocks all the way. That's who I'm rooting for. And Dawn Staley, let's get it. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Yeah, that's primary. NBA, I know that's starting to dwindle down coming into the playoffs for that one. But you guys could find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Britne Monique. And again, we also have a Twitter at Sideline Speaks for the show. So please follow us on Twitter.
All right, good stuff, Britt. Yeah, I'm with you. Looking forward to the basketball that's going to kick back up on Thursday, the NCAA tournament. That's pretty much all I've been watching. So I'm going to stick with that this upcoming week and weekend. You guys can find me at Jason Talk Sports, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Jason Talk Sports. K-Walk.
Yeah, I'm right along with you guys. You know, the end of March Madness here, man, the second week here. I'm going to give a shout out to the Lady Villanova Wildcats here, man. Mm-hmm. They're my dark horse to get to the national championship, and maybe they can upset those Gamecocks. I'm not saying they will, but watch out for those Villanova Wildcats for sure. And I know I said earlier I'm not a Philly guy. I'm not a Philly fan, but the Villanova has been impressing me for sure. So go Lady Wildcats there. You can find me on.
No. Stay your butt.
No.
Stay right there and wherever team you got. We don't need your support. I'm just kidding.
I know I got you. I know you miss. But you can catch me on Instagram, Kevin.Walker142, Twitter at KevinWalker142, and Facebook Kevin Walker. And tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, you can catch me. We got Wednesday night, 7 p.m. in Sports Talk with K Walk and E. Scott. Go to those social media platforms I just mentioned. The link will be there for you guys to listen, call in, and chime in as well. Very entertaining show for sure. And that's what I'll have for night, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, good stuff, K-Walk. All right, guys, we appreciate you listening. Please hit that subscribe button, share it, like it. We're just really trying to grow this channel. Like we said, it's a labor of love. It's a slow burn, but we're trying to get there. So anything you can do to help us out, we greatly appreciate it. We are now on Twitter, as Britt mentioned. Is it Sideline Speaks, Britt, or The Sideline Speaks?
At Sideline Speaks.
At Sideline Speaks on Twitter. And we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. So you can pretty much find us any and everywhere. We'll be back here live next Tuesday at 7 p.m. For Brittany Jones and Kevin Walker, I'm Jason Collins, and we'll see you next time.
Still singing Deion Sanders over Jerry Rice. Just
Me
kidding.
too. I'm with you there, Britt. That's about all I was with you with all night.
You're inside Never Had It So Good Sports Radio with Princess Cooper, Tim Moore, David the Duck Riley, Jason Collins, Shoshana Cook, Brittany Jones, Travis McGee, Eric Scott, and Kevin Walker. We make it easy to talk sports.